When the phone booth turns white, that's when I'll come on.
So, welcome back to my channel. Before we get on with the vlog, I just like to remind you that I do put in my description the link to the fundraising page that the Quileute tribe have because they need funds to help get to high ground. There's a vlog of me reading this book. But before we start reading this, I need to tell you a funny story that happened to me the other day. So I don't know whether you know, but the reason why I got into Twilight was because I saw the first movie on the TV. I was a little bit young. I think I was about 10. You know, I was 10 or maybe almost 11. I saw the movie on TV and I was like, when I found out that it was a book series, I was like, Mom, Dad, you have to buy me the book series. And that's how I got into it. So I never really experienced the big hype of the first movie. So I never have in my life watched the trailer until yesterday or the day before. I was like, I want to see what that trailer made the movie out to be like, because I have no idea what they were trying to market it as. So I went and looked it up and the trailer was amazing. Like it's a very different vibe than the vibe that I think of when I think of the Twilight movie. But I found out that the first Twilight movie came out on my 10th birthday. I was shocked and thrilled, and I think you can't not believe in fate when stuff like that happens. Come on. We'll be reading this bad boy. I'm actually really excited because it just seems really fun, you know? And she says in the foreword that she did amend some things that she thought was like not too great, you know? So excited.
I'm going out to see what I can show. And I don't know where I'll go, and I don't know what I'll see, but I'll try not to bring it back home with me.
Hello. So I haven't read a lot, and by a lot I mean I've read about 12 pages, and I think the reason for that is that I'm nervous to read this because I don't want it to sort of change my experience with the original book, because for me it's definitely something more than just liking the series. Obviously when I was younger that's what it was, but for me now it's definitely a coping mechanism, and I'm glad that it is this and not something else. But I just realized that how big of an impact Twilight and everything about it had on my life. Like I have, this is really strange, but I have a list of baby names, and one of those baby names is Emmanovella. But also I have multiple different sort of wedding plans of like themes and whatnot, and one of them is like a forest wedding. And how can that not be an influence from Twilight? Now, at first it was like a winter forest, sort of like the aesthetic of the final confrontation in Breaking Dawn. But now I'm coming to terms with maybe like a more spring forest wedding. But forest wedding is definitely something that I've been into. And right, okay, this, I haven't read any more of the book. Irrelevant, but me and Emma have just happened across, I've been following a bunch of like Twilight cosplayers who sort of have an account like as the character on Instagram, but we found the characters from Life and Death on Instagram, and it just makes me laugh. So we have Edith Cullen, which is like the Edward Cullen. She found Jessamine, which is Jasper. A little screenshot and put them on the screen. But honestly, this is the best thing ever and I love it. Right, so she's found a Beau Swan, which is like the Bella, but it's in like Spanish. What did she say? She said, the cooker, the fact they're watermarked, I can't. Look at this. That is so funny. Hello. I have absolutely zero idea what the last thing that I vlogged was. but I took a break from reading Life and Death because there were so many other things that I wanted to read. I've started to read The Letters of Vincent van Gogh, and I was also listening to the audiobook of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is obviously like a really big deal, and I was really stressing out, and I wasn't in the mood to do a reading vlog, so I sort of put Life and Death on the back burner, and I think I'm gonna pick it back up again. If this clip makes it into the vlog, that is what will happen. Okay, random story time, but in this book, Mike is called Michaela, which I just thought was really funny because my brother is called Michael, right? And he was like talking to this girl a few years ago called Michaela, and I said to him, Michael, you can't go out with a girl called Michaela. Your name is Michael. Like, you can't go out with somebody with the same name as you. And that story just came into my head and I had to tell you. Sorry. Hello. So I'm reading this book and like I'm trying my best to like do a really good, you know, mental image, but the only image of these characters that I can get in my head is like a face app gender swap of the actors in the movie, because that was floating around Instagram a few days ago. It's really uncomfortable. It's just so awkward. Hello. So I was talking to my friend Emma, who has just finished reading this book, and she says the ending is not the same as the first Twilight book. Like, it's not just a gender bent version. Like, the ending is different. Like, I want to know what the fuck happened. I want to know what twist motherfucking ending this book has. To exclaim the fact that Jacob in this book is called Julie. So I am currently just about to start chapter 12 tomorrow. It's quite late now, so I'm gonna go to bed. But after finding out that the ending and everything is slightly different, you can really see the small seeds of difference. I can't wait to see how it uncovers and develops. I definitely like Jules more than Jacob. I just feel like Jules wouldn't turn into such a twat that Jacob turns into, but I kind of don't even want to blame it on him. Like, I just want to blame it on Stephanie for the weird ass plots that she gave him, because I feel like without that like weird ass plot that she gave him in Breaking Dawn, he wouldn't have turned out to be so weird and creepy and a twat. So yeah, interesting thoughts. I will update you tomorrow. I'm gonna try and finish it tomorrow or Monday so that I can get the video out. Hello. So the internet is being really awful and full of anti-Semitism today. So I'm trying my best to stay off Twitter. It's not going too well, but I thought if I could get lost in a book, I might stay the fuck off Twitter. So here's me attempting to do that. Hello. So this evening got derailed by anti-Semitism. I love that for me. But it is literally getting light outside, like, and I'm reading, and I talked about this a little bit on Twitter. Well, I tweeted about it, but I have this like really bad toxic FOMO of the bad things that go on online, because I want to be the most educated on all of the things that go on. So I have this toxic FOMO where I will continuously scroll and scroll and scroll until I see a bad thing, because I feel like I should know about all of the bad things that are going on, and if I don't know about all of them, then I'm doing something wrong and I'm not listening to enough people's struggles, if that makes sense. But it's so toxic because there is abundance of terrible things on social media and people talking about terrible things that have happened to them, and there is always something negative to find, and it is really draining. And especially on a personal level, when it's about a struggle that you face and that is you, it's definitely really, really bad. And my body doesn't want to go to sleep because there's too many emotions, and I've been on the brink of tears about 10 times now. So I'm reading and I'm trying to stay off social medias, but it is really difficult, and I don't know why. And I don't know whether this vlog is the right place to talk about it, and I feel like I should make an entire video about it, because I think it's a really interesting discussion to have, because it's really dangerous, not only to one's mental health, but to how you see the world and how you see yourself as well, how you deal with bad things. I feel like I'm the type of person, when bad things happen, for some reason I go and look for more bad things, which is bad. So I'm going to carry on reading this book. I have some interesting thoughts about it. I noted this at the end of chapter 13, and this is what I wrote at the end of chapter 13, and it's basically just talking about, in the foreword, Stephanie talked about how she wanted to do this because a lot of people were criticizing the book, saying that Bella was a damsel in distress and that she couldn't help but be saved by all of these men in her life. And Stephanie wanted to show that actually it's not that Bella was a girl or a woman that she got saved by all of these men. It was the fact that these people, these men, Jacob and Edward, were actually just better apt at saving people because of their supernatural abilities. And the story could work just as well if Bella was a man and Edward was a woman, and that's one of the reasons behind why she wrote it. And reading this, and especially the meadow scene, and when in the book Edith is talking about how powerful she is and how Bo should be scared and Bo isn't scared, it really has gotten me to like interrogate my idea of masculinity and masculine power, and therefore feminine power and strength, and the fact that a woman saving a man, whilst at first I don't know, that my gut reaction is something that I don't think is the right reaction to have. My gut reaction when reading this scene was that, oh, that's weird for Bo to be the weak one in the situation, and it's not. Like, I don't know whether Stephanie intended it to be that deep for the readers, but that is what it was for me. Like, it was really, like, I'm reading it and it's really quite deep. I think she just meant it as a joke for the 10th anniversary, like, oh, let's just swap the genders. But I think it can do more than that. It can open a discussion on the damsel in distress trope, and how if anyone, man or woman, non-binary person, was in a situation where they have no supernatural help, and another person has supernatural help, supernatural powers, strength, whatever, that person with the powers is automatically better designed to be the savior in the situation, or to be the one doing the saving. And I think it's a really interesting discussion that, as I said, I don't know whether Stephanie was planning it to do that to the reader. So I think it's really interesting, and something that more people should talk about. And it's really strange that it's coming out of Stephanie Meyer's pen, because we all know Stephanie Meyer has done some highly problematic things. As readers and as fans, we need to be open to this criticism and make this criticism ourselves. But I think it's really strange having this sort of almost commentary on the damsel in distress trope being given to us by Stephanie Meyer of all people, which I think is quite good to see, that maybe she's not as she was. I hope that with Midnight Sun we see more of that in her, of her growth as a person, and as, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. This was an extensively long clip that did not need to be that long, but I thought it was an interesting discussion to have anyway. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later. So I'm awake. I have read a little, and I'm just up to the bit where James, Victoria, and Laurent are due to arrive. Now, we all know that it's probably not going to be James, Victoria, and Laurent. Like, I'm not sure, like, are they going to be gender swapped or not? Because some characters are, some characters aren't. So I'm very intrigued, and yeah, that's what I'm up to right now. Oh, did Archie just bite him? I'm shocked. I'm really thoroughly shocked. Hello, so I just finished reading the book and it feels like I just read fan fiction, which I'm not mad about because fan fiction is cool, but it just felt weird for it to be like an official fan fiction, if you get what I mean. Like, you don't get much more official fan fiction than this, do you? You really don't. Like, this is the most official fan fiction that I've ever read, and I was wondering what sort of caused the shift in the ending. Now, I hope that you're watching this and you have read it. If you don't want spoilers for the ending, skip to this timestamp. The fact that Beau left the airport just a few minutes earlier altered the way that the altercation with Joss, which I'm sorry Stephanie, but that is the most stupidest name I've ever heard, because of the flight time, meant that there was a longer interaction before they could get to the ballet studio, which meant that the venom was in the system longer, which meant that there was no way to stop the change, you know? I think that's a really interesting ending, and I think it's really interesting, especially for like the Jacob character, Jules. I think that as the series went on, that character got did dirty by the plot in many different ways, and I think Stephanie did him dirty, especially in Eclipse, and I don't think anyone will really forgive the dirty that was done to Jacob, and I think Jules was saved from that issue, you know. She didn't have to go through all of that and none of that sort of dicey love triangle nonsense, which I think is really interesting. And I think it was a really interesting take, and as I mentioned last night when I was really tired and I don't know, getting a little bit deep, I do think that this book interrogates the trope of the damsel in distress in sort of fantasy and supernatural, because it's not just the fact that Bella is a girl, that she's like being saved by Jacob and Edward and all this. It's because she isn't supernatural. I think that's really intriguing, and I think it's something to discuss, and it's something that I will be discussing with Grace from Forks Not Spoons, which is a Twilight fan account, great name, on Instagram. She has a podcast called Queens of Twilight that I'm going to be recording with her tomorrow. One of the things we want to talk about is this interrogation of the damsel in distress trope that I think this book gives, and whether Stephanie meant it to be that deep or not. I found that it was that deep for me, and I don't know whether that's because I was up at 4 AM when the sun was rising or what, but I found it very interrogative, and it's had me questioning a lot of biases that I have in myself, which I think is really interesting and really important, that we interrogate the biases that we have, and like, why do we have them, and are they based in fact or are they based in societal thought, you know? I think it's really interesting, and I really enjoyed the book. I really enjoyed it. Like, it was really interesting to have a different take. I did feel really sort of weirded out the whole way through, because it felt just sort of like, you know when something like happens and it just feels like a little bit off. You know that saying that if you like moved furniture just like 1 inch, it wouldn't really look different, but because of muscle memory, you would like bash into things. That's sort of what it felt like. 'Cause it wasn't a huge changing the genders like mostly throughout the book, but it definitely was really strange, but I liked it. And I don't think you would enjoy it or see its value if you weren't a Twilight fan, so I don't recommend reading it if you're not already a Twilight fan, but I think it's intriguing to consider slight differences in how they impact story, and also if you change the gender, what happens then, you know? And I don't think that the ending necessarily was implemented by Bo being a boy, but I do think that, as Stephanie says in the afterword, that it definitely was the fact that she had a little bit longer to play out that scene between the hunter and the huntee. Yeah, very interesting. I enjoyed it. If you like this video, please subscribe. I make some bookish content. I've got Twilight an awful lot in these past few months. I have reading vlogs for the rest of the series. The next vlog will be me rereading The Short Second Life of Bri Tanner. I have it in physical and I have it in audiobook, and I haven't decided which I'm gonna do yet. I think I might listen to it and read it at the same time, but I will do a vlog. I think that might be shorter, obviously, because it's a shorter book, but there'll be a lot of other videos counting down to Midnight Sun on my channel, and possibly even another quiz. This was a really fun read, really interesting, because I read this just after reading The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, which is an interesting read as well. So there's not much left to say other than thanks for being faithful and thanks for watching.